Hello and welcome to the Virtual Grim Room. My name is Jack, your host, and today I'm bringing you a top blade video. So, let's get into this. What do I look for in a blade? Ultimately, my most important thing for a blade is smoothness. I feel as if the blade is sharp enough, you're going to get a good shave. Smoothness, if a blade is too sharp, can then be sacrificed, and I'm not about that. I personally prefer choosing a blade that is first smooth and second sharp. If I can get that smoothness part down, then I'm really happy. All of the blades that I regularly use, bar one, I would say, I would describe as incredibly smooth. That's really what comes down to it for me when I buy blades. I've used a few blades. I use a lot of different gear, as you've probably seen, but I try to keep those specific things consistent, as at the end of the day, it's the blades that are shaving you. So I have 4 blades here. Don't particularly have any honorary mentions either, mainly due to the fact that, as I said, I like to keep them consistent. But coming in at number 4 is the Feather New High Stainless. Everyone knows what feathers are. I would say these are probably pound for pound the sharpest blade on the market. I use these in very specific circumstances, I would say. If I have a considerable amount of beard growth, stubble growth, etc., generally 3 or 4 days plus. Or if I'm using an extremely mild razor. The way I would describe these blades is if we're going to do it on a scale, so 1 to 10 for smoothness and 1 to 10 for sharpness, I would put them at pretty much a straight up 10 for sharpness, because I don't think they're sharper on the market. But for smoothness, I would put it 6. They're not a bad feeling blade by any means. On the first shave, they can be extremely rough. Providing that you're doing the right thing, you can get away with it pretty much every time on that first shave. Subsequent shaves, second, third, fourth, fifth, they're actually really nice to use, and they're kind of more comparable to the blades I'm going to show you in a minute, but that's kind of what I would say, really. The blades in general are nice after the first shave for me, from my experience, depending on the razor I'm using. You know, if I put this in a fairly, if I put these guys in a fairly efficient razor like the Rex Ambassador, they could potentially give me razor burn. However, I've put them in the D89 quite a few times, and I pretty much always get away with a very good shave on the first shave. So, yep, coming in at number 4 is the Feather High Stainless. If you have any mild razors that you want to improve efficiency, that's what I would recommend doing, is picking up one of these and putting them in. Number 3 is, I kind of say a go-to. To a degree, all of these are a go-to. But these are the American-made. I believe these are American-made. In fact, I can tell you. If it tells me, that is. Yeah, so these are made in LA. These are Personna Lab Blues. If anyone remembers Nick Shaves, that is his go-to razor blade. I would say the Personna Lab Blues are in a really good position. I'd say in terms of sharpness, they're about a 7. But in terms of smoothness, they could potentially be described as an 8 or a 9. They are excellent, and what I would say is they are only shown to be more excellent to the fact that I can use them in any razor and get an excellent shave. It's not dependent on the razor I use, like the Feather. I've never had a bad shave with the Personna Lab Blue personally. Even when I first started shaving, they were excellent. There's kind of no circumstances why I wouldn't use the Personna Lab Blue, you know. Maybe I choose the Feather over that, as I said, if I have quite a lot of growth, but I'm a daily shaver generally, so I don't really need to deal with that too often. The Personna Lab Blues are a solid choice if you're just looking for a no-nonsense shave, and they really qualify for that for me. Number 2, a blade I've started using recently, I believe is another Russian blade. I tend to like Russian blades quite a lot. This is the Teflon coated Voskhod. On the first shave, they can seem a bit dull, to be honest with you. I've had situations where I've had the first shave and think, hold on, what the hell is wrong with this blade? However, I would say on my first shave with one of these, the first pass was like, what's going on? This feels really strange. And the second pass was one of the smoothest shaves I've ever had. So it goes to show that once you kind of get the coating off of these guys, they can be incredible blades. Most of the guys in this community like Voskods. I don't think I've ever met someone that dislikes Voskods. The way I would describe these in terms of sharpness, I would probably give the sharpness maybe a 6, but I give the smoothness on the first shave maybe a 7, but after that it would be a 9 or even a 10 for me. As you can see here, I have a blade here and with specific amount of dots on it. Those dots kind of symbolize the amount of uses for that specific blade. That's a Voskhod in there. That's done me for 6 shaves at the moment, and frankly, it's nowhere near finished. It's still providing me really good shaves after 6 shaves. The Teflon coating is worn away, and it's so smooth, you know. It's one of the smoothest blades I have, and that's why it's number 2. Yeah, I would suggest you pick some of these up if you haven't tried. I highly recommend them. They're definitely one of my favorites. And in at number 1, if you have watched my videos for some time, you'll see this coming. This is almost certainly my go-to blade. You know, when I have had a few bad shaves and I want to go back to basics, doesn't happen to me very often, but when it has in the past, I tend to default back to the Polsilver. Let me get that to focus. I tend to default back to the Polsilver Super Iridium, made in Russia. Very smooth on the first shave, I wouldn't say very sharp, but they're quite sharp. The way I would grade these is maybe a 7.5, 8 in sharpness, but 9 or 10 in smoothness. These are my go-to blades. I'd say they've gotten probably a little bit harder to get these past few months. Luckily I've ordered quite a lot of them, so I don't really have trouble when it comes to finding them, but depending on the sort of thing you're looking for, you know, if you have really coarse beard hair, you can't really go wrong with any of these I've shown you. And specifically this Polsilver, what I would say the biggest thing about this Polsilver for me is in any razor, like the last 2 I've shown you, it provides a fantastic shave. I don't think I've ever gotten irritation from using a Polsilver, which is pretty crazy for me. I've got an irritation with pretty much every other blade I showed you today, but this guy is the consistent one for me. And this is why the Polsilver Super Iridium, focus you son of a gun, this is why the Polsilver Super Iridium is number 1 on my list. I'm going to put links to all of these blades down below in the description. What are your favorite blades? Tell me your favorite blades. Give me links as well, that would be awesome. You know, Amazon links are always appreciated. Magard, West Coast Shaving. Yeah, I'd really appreciate it. I'm looking to kind of expand my horizons when it comes to blades. I've ordered some Gillette Nassets. I'm trying to get my hands on some Thai Gillette Super Thins. I don't know where to source them. If you guys have any idea where to source them, again, leave a comment down below. I hope you've enjoyed my top blade video. I really appreciate you guys watching and supporting my videos over these past few months. As always, have a lovely weekend. It's been your host Jack from the Virtual Groom Room. Goodbye for now.